Online, you'll see whenever a woman speaks her mind or has her own point of view or opinion, she is called a feminist or a modern woman as an insult. Now, I'm not here to worry about insults, but on to that point, it seems like the term feminist gets thrown around in different ways. Well, what does the term mean? So, it's about equal rights and women's rights as opposed to traditional roles and values, which in today's age would mean like men having all the cards, being the head decision maker, things of that nature, and women being barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen basically, and showing obedience like a pet dog. So yeah, I believe in human rights. I don't know why it would be on the basis of what genitalia someone has. I think now at this point, feminism is just, intertwined in society and culture. To me, it just seems like the default. So, yeah, that's all feminism is about. So, I don't know why these people think feminism has caused all the problems in their world and in their lives. I mean, think if you had someone blaming all their problems on one thing. Don't you think that would be a bit questionable? So, I mean, why exactly is feminism used as an insult? I think it comes down to the concept of women being seen and not heard, being put in their place, that sort of thing. The idea that the traditional lifestyle, gender roles, and child rearing are a woman's natural role, and the only way she'll be fulfilled. Like women are just made to have children and support the man. But yeah, I don't know. Why are we so threatened by what women have to say? Yeah, so people come up with all sort of things against feminism, such as the idea that people seem to think that feminists are advocating for a single and child-free lifestyle, that it denigrates masculinity in men and denigrates femininity in women, and that feminists present a certain way aesthetically. That's not actually the case. Feminism has nothing to do with aesthetics. Like, you guys are looking at some college-age teenagers with like dyed hair and colorful makeup, or people with alternative styles that have like piercings and tattoos. In the real world, you can find conservatives, you can find traditional people, you can find liberals, you can find feminists that have all sorts of different styles. Like, I know feminists who dress really well every day. They have like professional style. I know some conservatives and people who are more traditional who have more of an alternative style. So it can go either way. So as far as single and child-free lifestyle, women are making that decision on their own. Men are making that decision on their own. No one is teaching anyone these things. In fact, in our society, these things are put as an expectation. There's different reasons people are deciding not to go down that path. But that's not something that feminism explicitly expresses. You could say that feminism makes being single more attainable, which is true. But I mean, that could be for a feminist, that could be for a traditional woman, could just be that they just didn't find the right person to be in a relationship with or make a relationship work, things of that nature. And for children, I think a lot of women, maybe even most, is pretty common for women to be apprehensive about being pregnant and having children. Because I know when I was in my late teens, early 20s, being pregnant and having children was not something that appealed to me. It was just, something different and, really foreign. But now, I'm just like, I'm older now, I'm in my late 20s, and I'm just like, well, being pregnant and having children, that's just part of being a woman. But yeah, when I was younger, I was, smaller, and I thought it would be too much, that I wouldn't even be able to go through with it, because I would see how the pregnant woman's belly would get so big and everything. So yeah, pregnancy is something that women, die from. Pregnancy and childbirth, women would used to die from that. So, I mean, now, women get taken to the hospital. But yeah, a lot of women are apprehensive about pregnancy and childbirth. I think, that's a normal reaction. Some women, grow out of that in a few years. Some women don't. I mean, I just think it depends. But yeah, no one is telling women not to have children. In fact, I see more of it being encouraged. There's also this idea of feminists not wanting men to have traditional manners, such as like holding doors open or paying for dates. The way I see it is that's just manners. I hold the door open for people. Men hold the door open for me. Women hold the door open for me. I just say thanks and go about my day. I think where the problem comes in is some men will do things for women, but they'll be pushing for something in return. So yeah, I can see how that can be, a little bit irritating. Like, you'll have a guy, hold the door open for you, just so, he can try to get your number or something like that, and that's the main purpose of why he did that. So yeah, that happens to me sometimes, and I'm not too fond of that. So but yeah, I think most of the time people are just doing that to have um, good manners. And as far as paying for dates, if I invite my family member out or my friend out, yeah, I usually cover it. To me, that's just nothing to do with manners. It's usually the man pursuing the woman and asking the woman out. So yeah, I don't mind if man wants to pay for a date or whatever. There's also this idea that feminists try to get other women to live how they live. I don't think it's actually feminists that do that. I don't think that these people call themselves feminists. I just think they are mainstream people who like to give unsolicited advice. But I mean, you can find that with religion, with politics, you can find these sort of people. So when I was coming of age, when I was college age, there were males and females who were saying, well, why should a man have to support a woman? The woman should work too and not just stay home. So, I mean, that was the mainstream idea. And I don't think it's particularly because of feminism. I just think it's because, like I said earlier, feminism is just the default. It's been intertwined in our culture and in our society and has become mainstream in some aspects. So, yeah. But yeah, there are people who are filling holes in their life. It's a cope. They use, politics, religion, feminism, manosphere, and they just holding on to that to fill some void that they have in their life. I don't tell people how to live or how to be happy. I think that's up to them to figure it out on their own. Feminists have diverse views. Like for me, I'm more in alignment with like the first waves of feminism. I think they call it like the fourth wave. That yeah, I agree with aspects of it. But me personally, I'm a bit more conservative in style and taste. But yeah, I don't really care what other people want to do with their lives or how they want to live. I think it's a good idea for people to know that it's okay to have different views or a different lifestyle or go down a different path in life, and it's not the end of the world if you don't align with or don't live up to some puritanical standards. So feminism doesn't have its own agency. It doesn't do anything on its own. feminism is an idea with different interpretations. So, yeah, I think feminism is a good idea. Some people like to act like it's some form of suppression of men, like it's all about the woman and uplifting woman, when it's basically just about female liberation. The irony in that is the other side to that is the suppression of women. And like the idea that feminism is about women being more like men, like manhood is the default. As if women are just a shadow to men and men are actual whole people. And the woman is just in servitude to him, and the woman not being in this role is some sort of hindrance to the man, but the woman being in this role is a hindrance to her. And see, this is the confusion that people have. So, correlation does not imply causation. So, yeah, I see feminism being correlated with a lot of different things, such as example, say, the obesity epidemic, women being overweight. So is being overweight a predisposition to being a feminist? Or are women who are overweight, do they maybe face more degradation and who would otherwise be traditional? So are women just becoming man-haters out of nowhere? Or have they seen a lot of degradation from men, like in their life or on the internet? I mean, me personally, I don't really see women having whole movements against men or degrading men. But yeah, I can't say that, as far as men. And are women working jobs and are they getting careers because of feminism, or does feminism give them leeway into doing what they want with their life? Me, I always wanted to work and have a career. I just thought, it's a normal thing that you do in life. But yeah, I always wanted to express myself in that way. So yeah, I just see it as, feminism gave me the opportunity to go down the path that I wanted to. But yeah, I mean, like in the manosphere and stuff like that, sometimes you'll see where people will act like women aren't worthy of jobs, they shouldn't work. Yeah, they don't want women to have the right to do what they want with their life or the right to make their own money. So yeah, obviously, I mean, I think that women are just as worthy as for those jobs or careers as a man. So yeah, I don't think that women have a problem with the traditional role of men. I'm sure a good portion of men do a fine job at it. If you look at the origin of humanity, women would have probably been, pregnant most of the time. So, it's just biology, and men are typically a bit stronger. So yeah, it's a pretty good setup where the women would do less physically demanding tasks, and then the men would go out and hunt and build things like that. Like providing, protecting, building. I don't think these things are on their own toxic. I don't think these are bad things. I don't think this is toxic. But where the problems come in is if you look in the more recent history, women weren't afforded the same rights and privileges as men. Like they were denied education, they were denied the right, to manage their own money. They didn't get anything in a divorce. Yeah, the setup might have worked out okay with the right man. But I mean, yeah, this would, obviously, in a different situation, leave the woman in an extremely destitute position where the man is abusing the power that he has. So, I mean, yeah, that's not hard to understand. But yeah, it's 2022 now. It's not the olden days. Society is more egalitarian now, just due to the nature of how it's set up. So yeah, the lines between masculinity and femininity is more blurred. So yeah, masculinity and femininity aren't either or. Many traits exist in varying degrees in all people. Traditional femininity traits such as kindness, nurturing, empathy, and traditional masculine traits such as protecting, intelligence, leading are treated as good, irrespective of one's gender. A woman can provide and protect a man as well. Say you have a married couple and the man loses his job or becomes injured or becomes disabled, and he can no longer fulfill those roles. Yeah, the woman could then fulfill those roles. Now, you can say a man is better at these things or more fit for these things, and maybe that's true, which is where the gender norms come from. But a woman still is as capable of these things. I see a lot of talk of women are behaving more masculine and men are behaving more feminine. Women are behaving masculine and men are behaving feminine because both sexes naturally have those traits. Women can be multifaceted. Some women are more masculine, some women are more feminine. It seems like society likes to view women as one-dimensional. I mean, like, men and women, they have all the same wiring, they have all the same constructs, and I mean, we have a lot of individual differences as well within gender and between gender. Some women are naturally more masculine and naturally have a more masculine essence. You can't say someone is better in their feminine essence when they don't have one. You want them to be something they're not because you live in a small-minded world where you think because you see someone who looks a certain way, they're going to be all the things that you have made up in your head rather than getting to know the person. It's based off of stereotypes and generalizations of gender when people are born the sex that they are. You shouldn't assume people are going to act a certain way because of the sex they were born. That's a physical attribute that can't be turned into a personality trait. For me, I can't relate to the infantilization of femininity, female purity, infantilization, and the view of women as possessions to boost the ego and the self-esteem of the man. It creates a lack of empathy for women as human beings and with minds of their own. It has to do with their insecurity with their masculinity, as in, why should women feel secure in their identity if they don't? So they try to prove they're a man through aggression and being harmful to people around them because of the idea of what a man is, and they feel insecure with their identity as a man. I don't think any of this is a reason to condemn men. I don't think all men have these issues. Some men don't have these issues at all. Sometimes things get misconstrued. Sometimes things in the past get misinterpreted. The problem I have with, the Manosphere, Men's Rights Association, is it invalidates history. Men have always had their needs heard, while women have been punished or alienated for expressing theirs. Like, why do they revolve their issues around women Like their issues revolve around women, like how women live, what they do, their responses and their solutions. It often involves misogyny. With feminism, it's not about women being perfect or being above men. Anyone can be a bad person. I think women can hurt men and men can hurt women. I think, women should be held accountable, men should be held accountable. So, yeah, people, talk about toxic masculinity, and people will be like, well, what about toxic femininity? So, the thing with that is, toxic femininity wouldn't be independent of toxic masculinity because it would exist as a byproduct of the patriarchy, which, would reigns supreme and reigns dominant. The problem with this comes in how women exist in a construct that is unhealthy for them and subjugates them. Society subjugates women, so it doesn't support them doing what is healthy and what comes natural for them. It doesn't really support women being healthy and having a good self-esteem. So, you see, the view of women is effed up. It's been that way throughout society, where women were scripted to follow a certain role, and it was always to benefit men. These males want to continue it because they want to benefit off of it. They don't want there to be equality because they don't see the sexes as equal. People see daughters in a different view. They see daughters in a lesser view, having a lower expectation of daughters because they are female. You can see this with male people. They see value in males and lack of value in females. This is why they have such an issue with females in certain regards, but you won't see this with females with males in the same way. People stereotype their children before they are even born because gender matters, because it creates value and lack of value. They subjugate their daughters, they disenfranchise their daughters, and they set them up to fail. You're thinking that a female child is such a different thing. She's a whole human being just like a male child. A female child is way more than her sex. You're thinking that she's defined by her sex. Some people act like if you don't have male genitalia, you have something lacking about you, like you don't matter, just because you have a different arrangement in your genitalia. The purpose of the female in the gender construct was to serve the male. It was never to benefit women. It's about a birthright to be superior to females. They feel that female individuals are inferior. I'm not for the idea that one sex is better than the other. Women have all the equipment to carry and propagate children. Men do not. And you should know your place, and that goes for men and women.